In today's episode, we build the bug house, home to dragonflies the size of birds, and millipedes the size of cars. Welcome to the ultimate wildlife sanctuary. Welcome to Prehistoric Park. What's up, everyone? It's me Moral, obviously, that's my name. It's me back with another Prehistoric Park in Prehistoric Kingdom build. I know it's been a while, so sorry for the delay, but we are finally back. And let me tell you, this delay was because this build broke me. This was an awful build. The entire thing was just setback after setback after setback, and I was just, by the end of it, I was just ready to get over with. And we finally got it over with, and now I am happy. So, first thing on the menu for today, we have building the bugs, which these came in the October update? Yeah, October had a little update, and in it they had bug statues for 2 out of 3 of the bug house's inhabitants. And I want to make the scorpion eventually. I just didn't get around to it this time because this is a 5-month-long project. This footage you're seeing now was right at the October update. This is as soon as it dropped. So this was a big pain. So I'll have to come back eventually and build the, I want to say it's called Palomna scorpius. I might be thinking of a different animal. But the scorpion from the show, I'm going to have to come back eventually. But for now, all I did was I took the statues, I colored them the right colors, and that's literally it. I made 2 versions of the Arthropleura because I wanted to put it on the workshop because this was like day 1, and I kind of wanted to be first to experiment with like statues with the bugs as actual animals. So there you have it. There's the animals, and yeah, it's pretty simple. The biggest challenge was posing it like this, which, truth be told, I did not do a good job. It's literally just a curve and not even going at that. But it serves its function, so we are happy with that. And then we have the eyeballs, which just to add a little bit more to it. And because when I put it on the workshop, I was like, if I just put the colors on, people are literally going to call me the laziest man alive. So I might as well make sure the eyeballs are properly colored in as well. So we just put the eyeballs in right there. And that's just about it for the bugs. Yeah, that was a pretty simple little thing. It didn't take long at all. And then moving on, we have the bug house itself. So, if you haven't noticed, in the background there's a huge shadow being cast by a dome. And this dome was the first attempt of plenty. There were a lot of attempts at this dome and making it look right. Finally, I had to say, I cannot get this dome to look completely screen accurate, and I'm just going to have to deal with that. So, sorry to everyone, but this is not a screen accurate bug house. This is a moral _ bug house that is inspired by Prehistoric Park. I got as close as I physically could, and that's about as good as I could get because it was just a pain the whole way through. The dome itself was just, man, it was bad because it's made out of hexagons, or hexagons? Yeah, hexagons, I'm pretty sure. 6 sides. It has 6 sides on each. And a little known fact, you can't make a sphere out of hexagons. So I just had to cope, and it took me so long to figure out exactly how to do it. In the end, I settled for just vaguely hexagon shapes sprinkled in with ones that looked good, because like you just can't do it. It's just impossible. I'm sure like give me another 5 months, I could crack the code, but it was like I was done at this point, because it's been 5 months since the Dinosuchus video, which is like crazy to me. Like that was that long ago. I really did not mean to take such a long break on Prehistoric Park, but yeah. This is the bug house was one of the most challenging for me for a number of reasons. First of all, you do have like the dome and everything, which sure is a problem, but had I had more reference images, I feel like it would have been a problem. The problem stems mainly from the fact that we have 3 good shots of the bug house in like actual detail, and the others are literally just pictures of plants in the bug house, zoomed in too far to see any detail of the structure, and it's just not a fun time. So that's, yeah, it wasn't a fun time. Plus it's very different from just placing down fences that are all identical. It's a unique looking building, and my cat is here, and she is walking across the desk, and she's going to go now, I hope. Please leave. Sorry to be mean to her, but we are in the middle of recording. So, where was I? Yeah, it's a very different build. It's a very distinctive build. It's much more of a actual like established structure than just, you know, the fences, and even like the portal itself is sure it's a structure, but it's, you know, this outdoorsy looking thing. This is a enclosed space, a building, an actual building, and it has to like completely be closed because of the oxygen necessary for the bugs. Because back in the carboniferous, where the episode takes place, or I guess not takes place, but he goes back in time, so half the time that it takes place in is the carboniferous, and during that time oxygen levels were incredibly high, which allowed for things like Arthropleura and Meganeura to grow to such immense sizes. So with that in mind, it has to be completely closed, because otherwise they're going to be tasting that sweet, sweet modern day air that has hardly any oxygen compared to their time, and it's going to be bad. Now I am realizing I haven't talked about the actual build itself at all, so let's start with this here. What is this blue thing doing here? Basically, there are these decorative, like, what's the word, lattice type structures along this curved glass, which I had to get right, and in order to do so, I just kind of use these small pieces shrunk down, this like pipe or something, and I put them in the right order and had aligned a surface where they would curve around this curved surface, because if it was the glass, which here I decided there wasn't going to be any glass, it's like just the frame, because the pieces in this game that could work that have glass in them don't exactly fit right. As you saw earlier, the first thing I tried was the curved wall turned slightly. The only issue, or the main issue, I guess, because there isn't really any other issues, it's just the one issue, is the problem of the axes. The axes, I don't know, I guess axes, there's 3 of them. So the axes don't line up the way you need them to for this type of like curve, because it's supposed to be, obviously, this is, if you take this curve and turn it on its side, then it would be a curved wall. So it didn't work out right because the axes were all off. It was too hard to like mess with. You couldn't even scale it properly to like fit in the area, because it was like they were like diagonal of the actual curve itself, so it was really difficult. So in the end we settled for just having a facade that looks like it's glass, which I was just talking about oxygen being kept in. Ours does not do a good job at that, because all of the oxygen is just flowing freely through every single window on this thing. So probably wouldn't be the greatest for keeping bugs. So we are just putting these things down, putting the lattice type things down, and it looks good. I feel like there was a really weird way we had to like actually turn this into a lattice because of the way the game just hates me. It's unfortunate. But yeah, we have to we're making sure it's properly curved and it's not jutting out all weird, which it still is a little bit. And then we were like I was trying to figure out how to work that around, and I gave up and did that first. So first we were adding more of those little jutting out parts that jut out. I can't think of the word. But eventually we did just kind of turn it inside out of itself or whatever. It was really strange. I think we scaled it and stuff. It was very odd. You'll see it in a second. Yeah, like so basically just scaling it different, weirdly scaling it like inside out of itself and then turning it that way. And it lined up well enough, and I was like, that's perfect for me because it's easy. So we fix up a couple more places where it doesn't line up properly, and that's, yeah, it's still a little rough. I can't remember if I fixed it or not, I'm not gonna lie. So if it comes to the end of the video and it still looks a little rough over there, please be blind. You can just listen to the audio and not mention it. Now onto the actual windows. Doing the same thing here. The glass was too much of a hard thing to work with, so we just kind of did the frames, and I think it looks really good, honestly. I think the way the frames looks really nice. So we did that. We mirrored it over there, so that's fully whatever surrounded, and we messed with the walls a bit, thinning them out because it was really thick brick pieces there. Okay, at this point, I actually had been through 3, 4, 5 dome designs. You can see a bunch of them scattered around, and there's more that were deleted. And this is the end result. I was basically bringing these pieces out at 60-degree angles and trying to line them up properly. I tried like making hexagons and lining them up at first, but I found that this worked the easiest for my sake, my sanity. And it doesn't look awful. It doesn't look awful, especially from the top. The top looks okay. From the sides, it looks a little janky, but that's okay. And there are parts like that. Like, you just have to deal with that. So yeah, there is a lot cut out of the domes actually, just because it was like hours of footage, and it just wouldn't have made, I feel like, for good viewing pleasure. I feel like you guys would have just been like so bored. So I left this little part in just so you could get the idea, in case you want to torture yourself by making domes that look like this. Don't do that to yourself. Let me torture myself. You guys should not. And then once we get the one wedge piece kind of, I guess that's the word, yeah, wedge, done, you can literally just rotate it and then continue to rotate it on an angle so that it becomes a complete dome, which I think I keep in. It should be coming up shortly. Still got a little bit ways to go with the dome, and obviously the bottom of the dome I didn't care as much about. As you can see, it looks a little janky, mainly because it's going to be set up right up against the concrete, and I mean, in that case, why would I want to, do all that? Because it's going to be hidden anyways. So there, you can see, you turn it, and it becomes more of a dome, and there you have it. It is a almost dome, an almost hexagonal dome. Looks good enough for me. So at this point, I'm just looking at the glamour shots, like, oh, this is going to line up just like this from the series. By the way, it just does not actually line up properly. So once again, I am calling myself out on it not being completely screen accurate. So, yeah. So now we are gonna just we just kind of do this. What are we doing here? I'm actually lost. I'm as lost as you guys right now. We're mirroring it. Yeah, okay. I knew that. I knew that. I built it. So, the dome on the top, on top of the, I can't think of a good word to call these little, pieces, dude, that come out. I'm thinking like, I just can't think of a word for them. The parts that jut out, the little dome on top, I built off because it was one of my first tests and it went, or not one of my first, it was one of my first tests that worked, and I was like, finally, and I hadn't been recording because I was just like, it's not gonna work, so why bother? So now, fun little piece of trivia. The dome itself is actually a matte painting. I'm actually, hold on, let me look that up real quick. I know I've seen it on the internet, but the original structure that was there did not have the, where is the picture? It did not have the proper word I'm looking for. The top, the dome. Yeah, what am I thinking of? It didn't have the dome on it, so basically it was just, I guess it was open on top, maybe it wasn't, and it kind of was just painted on. Yeah, it was just painted on. I keep saying, I'm losing track of myself because I was looking at the internet to find the picture. I do have it saved now, so I'm gonna get back on track. The matte painting, no disrespect to the man who made it, it is a iconic prehistoric park thing. It looks off in like the perspective sense because it's made fully of hexagons, which is not geometrically or whatever impossible. It's impossible to do. So the perspective looks a little warped on it if you like are analyzing it pixel like by pixel like I was, which is not a problem for the average viewer. But what was I going with this? Yeah, okay. So, additionally, in the picture, the right side is not actually like covered in a dome, and I could have left it domeless, but I don't think the lick would have looked right. I feel like it looks better if every single part that juts out has the right domes on it. And so I just chalked it up to time constraints, budget constraints, something along those lines, and that had someone been like, should this have a dome, most of the people working on it would have agreed. Maybe I'm completely off of like everything, but I'm trying to validate myself here and not look like I'm just an idiot, so please bear with me. But I put it over there anyways, and I think it looks fine. People who have a problem with it, take it up in my comment section, and I will be glad to read the comment, agree that you are probably right, and then I will heart your comment, probably, and that's the only thing I'll do. I'm not going to argue with it because you're probably right. So, yeah, and it's really just something I just thought was going to work out better, I guess. But moving on, so I can get off this topic that I've dug myself into. We just don't get good shots of the back of the bug house, so I just kind of copied the man, I really need a word for a piece of a building that juts out. I just copied what's in the front basically into the back, and then it didn't exactly work well, in which case I squeezed them together and got rid of the distance between the two parts that jut out that was created by the door, which I think I kept it in. You can see I originally tried to use a brick wall, which is coming up, and I should probably wait till this is actually playing, huh, instead of talking about it now. Look at this, guys. There is a dome on the screen. Please look at that. There we go. Okay, so now we're getting into what I was talking about, and it's a little gap in the middle. There's a little gap in the middle. Perfectly fine. We just filled up bricks, and it didn't work the way originally, so we kept trying to figure it out. And I had to remember that you just have to get the one that has the not stretched textures. So yeah, so obviously here it's like the dome isn't lining up properly in the back, so I had to change that. I kind of squeezed them in as far as I could so that it looked good, and then we cut to the next part, which is interior, and also doing a lot of adjusting these sticks that are not quite in the right proper places. So after that, it's as simple as just pausing. Yeah, okay. So we just kind of are filling in the area around it, which eventually becomes grass, or not grass, dirt, and like soil and stuff, because it's surrounded by like forest and wooded, yeah, forest. That is what wooded areas are, forests. So, we changed that. We also, I feel like I could not get the shading right. I feel like it was so shady inside and around the bug house, but in mine, without putting the trees entirely too close to be accurate, it just didn't feel as though the shade was right. I felt like there was too much sunlight coming through. Unfortunately, I could not fix that because I just couldn't think of a good solution, and I have to assume it has something to do with either the game's lighting or the filming. I guess they okay, I'm stumbling over words now. I guess they maybe filmed the bug house next to maybe a really big trees that just aren't present when you look at the footage, or maybe like next to a mountain so that in the afternoon you get shaded by it. Not sure. So I just left it sunny, and I just chalked it up to a cloudy day on set. So here we put too many trees, and then we just dial it back, which creates that good effect. Instead of trying to paint right up to it and then kind of looking weird, I felt like it was better to just erase. So we're just painting in that dirt like I said earlier, which looks pretty good. I think the textures inside and outside both match pretty well with the actual footage. And yeah, it is a shame that there wasn't more bug house content, because clearly they had one episode left and they wanted to go out with a bang, so they had Dinosuchus and then a escape sequence. Oh, spoiler alert for those who have not seen the documentary, which it is about, what is it now, 13 years late maybe? No, it's way more than that. 17 years? God, that's crazy. So anyways, we fill up the inside with a bunch of plants, and at first I didn't get it right. I was putting these tiny shrubs in, but looking back I realized the shrubs are massive. All of the foliage in here is massive, and it literally towers over Bob. And I'm sure that Bob is not a short person. I assume he's normal, average height human. So if they're that tall, I would assume they're that tall for other people. Maybe not me. I'm just different, and I would probably stand and hit my head on the top of the dome. So, but that's just a me problem. Nothing wrong with the architecture. Also, there are these potted plants, which I forgot about. And here's the crazy thing. When I started researching, I remembered that I recognized the pods. I didn't remember. I recognized that these pods existed, and I took a mental note. But it had been 5 months since the first clips that we have seen in this video, and now this is like recent. This was like this week. This, I forgot because of how long it had taken me, how long it took me to make this exhibit, and that was crazy to me that it took so long, that I had forgotten a big detail that I had noted before. So yeah. And then here's the thing, okay? I love screen accuracy, but I don't understand how to plant plants that look screen accurate. I can do it with trees that are big and noteworthy, but you give me something like this where it's overgrown and it's just like all sorts of plants on top of each other, beside each other, all of that, I just can't do it. I am sorry, but I physically do not know how. My brain just goes to sleep. It goes to sleep, and I'm like trying to work on it, and I just can't think. I was like, oh, plant here, plant there. I need to learn how to make plants look good, because it is one of my biggest weaknesses, I would imagine, or I'd say, is getting plants to look properly, or look proper. And yeah, so we're about to wrap up here and go into cinematics, so I will catch you guys soon. And that's going to do it for today, guys. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Please subscribe. Goodbye.